party people. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. Boom, 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 dun, dun, ga gung, ga gung, gung, gang, gung, ga ga gung, ga gung. Anyway, I'm sorry. My apologies, everybody. Hey, welcome to the Tuesday edition. It's Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze because we better than oppression. Oppression is a little hoe out here. We like to smack hoes. Okay, we smack hoes around here. And oppression, huge hoe. We smack the shit out that hoe. Front hand, backhand. Oops. Shit, I'm almost backhanded my okay, I'm doing too much. Let me simmer down. Let me simmer down. The full moon still must be affecting me somehow, some way. Welcome everybody to the Tuesday edition of BIDWKB. Guys, I'm so very excited that you all are joining me today. We've got a really good show in store for you. If you have deduced from our thumbnail, the problem with racialized and racially biased media coverage, racial inequity in American and North American and Western newsrooms leads a lot of stories, particularly around missing non-white people, to go largely unreported. And there was a new toolkit released by the Columbia Journalism Review on a website asking, how pressworthy are you? Very interesting. And I thought that this new tool to establish or to help journalists in newsrooms recognize their own biases when they're covering stories about missing people. This coincided within a week of a second serial killer. Well, over the course of time, but a serial killer in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in Canada, has been arrested and was arrested last week, and they have been charged with the deaths and the murders of 4 First Nations women. And I saw that story, and I saw the story about, how your race, gender, location, age all make a difference in how much press coverage you get should you ever go missing for any reason. And I said, Lord, I recognize the signs. I will follow through with the signage. We're going to talk about those stories coming up in a bit, in addition to a story out of North Carolina where a young Black girl could have very easily gone missing, but for her being on her fucking P's and Q's. And it's another example. This actually, when I present this story, I'm gonna use that story as an example of actually the press caring, actually caring about the plight of young Black people, and specifically in this case, a young Black woman. So we have that coming up in just a bit. But the first part of the show that I wanted to get started, and before I do that, of course, I have to do my obligatory shout outs. I see my people them in the spit out. I see James, I see John, I see Chewy, Spencer. Who else we got in here? Holly Horn is in here. Dawny is in here. Valley Girls, my niece is in here. Hey Latif, hey Boo Boo. Who else is in here? All my folks, come through, folks. I appreciate y'all being in here. And like I said last show, please, if you're able to, hit your bells, because YouTube, speaking of hoes, speaking of hoes, that usually get slapped, YouTube be a ho-ho out here. Peace, Commandis, what's going on? Nat A, what's going on, baby? Hey, Vesper. Hey, you guys, follow DJ Vesper X on Instagram. Vesper went live today with comedian Flame Monroe. Very good conversation between Vesper and Flame. I was happy to watch it. I like Flame Monroe, Vesper. Her funny. her is a hilarious. Her is hilarious. Oh, it's Court, girl. What's up with North Carolina? What the fuck? It's like now for our non-American viewers, please understand, like, America likes to share the crazy. The crazy does get relatively, evenly dispersed throughout this settler colonialist state. But goddamn, I guess it's North Carolina's turn, girl, because the crazy shit is coming out of North Carolina. And y'all, I'm now even reporting on that story out of Moore County with the substations being attacked in an act of apparent domestic terrorism. Nope, I'm gonna watch the white press. I'm gonna see how they figure this out. I'm gonna watch the white press very slowly piece this all together, because we know who did it. Come on now, just stop, stop it. And it's not even The whites, as I said this morning on the Remix Morning Show, I know this morning I said very generally and very broadly, it was the whites. Clearly, it is a very specific segment of the whites. It is the far right wing whites. It is the anti trans whites. It is the anti LGBTQ whites. And again, usually all the racisms. So if the whites start off racist, you can assume they are likely anti-Semitic, they are likely anti-gay, they are likely anti-trans, like they are likely anti everything non-straight white male Christian hetero da 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 da. So usually that's why we have to nip the racism shit in the bud, because again, it won't say it festers. It's all entangled. It's all tied in together. But anyway, girl, the whites, the for the far right wing, not even far right wing. I don't even know what they are these days. But yep, the whites. We'll see the white press get that worked out amongst themselves. But anywho, but let me speak. Speaking of the whites wilding, because that is exactly where I kind of wanted to start my show. Couple of things, couple of stories that kind of jumped out at me, because I'm sorry, John Brown Brigade, you guys already know when I'm talking about the whites, usually I'm not talking about y'all. But um with that said, when there are certain white people that I like to see get in trouble, okay? Like I love to see them get in trouble, go to jail even. Like I'd be like, yes, look at the justice system. look at the criminal justice system hard at work. Making mistakes and putting white people in jail. I love to see the mistakes. So when the criminal justice system makes some mistakes, I love to see the mistakes. And listen, this first story I want to get into, do me a favor. If the story's fake, don't tell me. let me please believe that this story is true as it has been reported. If it's a fake news story, you know what? I'll take the L. I will happily take the L. On Burn It Down, they be reporting fake news. Well, you know what? If this is fake news, let me own this fake news story then, because I saw this shit. I said, you know what? This is a perfect story for the whites are wildin'. Pop up that Hill Reporter story for me if you could there. So Will. So this is from the first week of December. I guess we are technically still in the first week of December. Are we not? This is from December 4th, thehillreporter.com. Todd Nelkirk writes, and this is the headline: Chris Christie's niece injured 6 police officers while being dragged off a plane. I said, oh, I said, whoa, look at that. Again, this is not to be the whole serious hour here, kids. I have to lighten this a little bit before we get a little bit deeper in the weeds, shall we speak. So, let me get loose on the whites wilding out. So this is what the article reads. While Chris Christie went to work for Donald Trump, he now stands in opposition to his former friend and boss. The same can't be said of his 25-year-old niece, Shannon Epstein. Epstein was arrested on November 24th and assaulted how many? Multiple police officers. As she was being arrested, she threatened that her uncle has powerful friends like Donald Trump. The incident began at 6 a.m. on a Spirit Airlines plane. Epstein had begun berating a Hispanic family, claiming that they were drug mules. She was then asked to leave the plane by the flight attendants and refused. I've told y'all the story about how I got put off an airplane. I assure you, it wasn't for no shit like this. It wasn't for no shit like this. Authorities were then called. According to NOLA.com, in the scuffle, she injured 6 deputies. Let me count that. My math isn't so good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That took 2 hands. 6. She injured 6 deputies, biting one on the arm and breaking the skin and kicking another in the groin. The article continues, quote, all the while, Epstein shouted to the deputies that they were going to lose their jobs or end up in jail, boasting that she was related to powerful people and that her uncle is a friend of former President Donald Trump. In the quote. Shannon, come through, Karen. Karen Christie. aka Shannon Epstein. Chris Christie's niece was charged with 6 counts of assaulting a police officer. She was released on bail. Of course she was. Of course she was released on bail. Why? Why would they keep a connected, perhaps proximity to wealth? I don't, the Christies don't strike me as rich, but what the fuck do I know? Proximate to wealth. Why would they keep her in jail for merely assaulting only 6 deputies? Because we know, had she been black, they would have fucking shot her. And let me assure you, okay? Let me assure you. When they sent TSA to come get me off the airplane at BWI, I wasn't doing a fraction of this shit. I ain't called nobody a name. I didn't tell nobody that I had interviewed Jay-Z 17 years earlier. I wasn't name dropping. They just came and got me off the goddamn plane. I wasn't doing none of this shit. So anyway, story number 1 of the Whites Wildin'. Story number 2 of the Whites Wildin'. Will, I do not have this pulled up in an article. I'm just going to say it. So the local news, and I assume by extension the mainstream news, is breathlessly reporting about the news that the Trump organization has been found guilty of 17 counts of whatever the fuck. And it's like, cool. Is Trump going to jail? No. The organization itself is only going to be fined when sentencing comes. Oh. Okay, well, wake me up. Wake me up when something actually happens with Donald Trump. But again, Whites Wildin', Trump organization, not filing taxes, paying their executives off the book, doing whatever the fuck they want. Maybe a high-ranking a high-ranking executive might go to jail. Trump's not going to jail. Ain't nobody else going to jail. And all they're going to have to do is pay a fine. Punishment. That's punishment. There you go. Pay you a little fine that you ain't tripping off of, that you just going to take directly from your campaign funds. Donald Trump. Ridiculous. Okay, the other story I wanted to do about the Whites wilding out. Okay, this story about Michael Avenatti. Now, I usually do not be caring at all about the media personalities, and nor do I care about this. But when I saw the kind of time that they laid at this man's feet, I said, this white man has pissed somebody off. he has made somebody upset with him. Do I have this pulled up? So this was out, published by DOJ themselves, the Department of Justice. Lawyer Michael Avenatti sentenced to 14 years in federal prison for stealing millions of dollars from clients and tax fraud. Now, I know you guys are like, Kim, isn't Michael Avenatti already in jail for stealing? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But apparently, Mr. Avenatti was doing so much stealing that the feds had to come back and get with his ass for an additional 14 years. So, according to this, Avenatti, who 51 years old, a former Newport Beach resident. Oh, Newport Beach, hey, fancy. Now in federal custody, was sentenced by United States District Judge James Cena. Is it John Cena's daddy? No, that's a different Cena. This Bama. Judge James Selena. I don't fucking know. I need reading glasses. Can't y'all tell? But Avenatti said that Avenatti has done great evil for which he must answer. So some of which Avenatti is being accused of, and why imposing this 14-year sentence has to do with, number one, and by the way, again, these sentences, he's already in jail right now for 5 years, and the judge has ruled that this term of imprisonment is going to be run consecutively. So not concurrently, not means he's not going to serve these 2 terms togethers with a S, togethers. No, he got to serve them bitches back to back. Y'all, don't y'all know, fed time, you got to do 80% of your fed time before you even be considered for parole, right? So what's 80% of 14? Y'all do the math quick. Who just sent us some money? Oh, Latif. Oh, Chuck Diesel's in the building. Hey, buck. What an our OG fire famers. Come through, Chuck Diesel. See, I'm not in the chat. Thank you so much for that, Latif. You know I'm reading right off the screen. I'm not in the chat. I didn't even know Chuck Diesel was in here. Chuck Diesel didn't even announce himself. He didn't even announce himself. But it's like, I know he did. What's up, Chuck Diesel? Appreciate you coming through, sir. Knight Rider in the building. Check him out. Check him out. But part of what Michael Avenatti is accused of doing, not only stealing many, many millions of dollars from his clients, including one of his clients who was actually disabled, who was a paraplegic. And Michael Avenatti whittled away money away from him, which is part of the reason why he got them wire fraud counts as well. And what's so interesting to me about Michael Avenatti, because his ascent in the media stratosphere, I suppose, or in the media ecosphere, was about the time I started to like seriously not consume any sort of cable news at all. And it's so wild to me. Time after time, I see these, especially these cable news channels like CNN and MSNBC. I pick on them for very specific reasons, because I think that they could do a way better job of what they do. And part of the reason why their execution is so poor is because, they're corporate media, and they're only obligated to stick to the script, to stick to the capitalism script, the farce of democracy. This is a republic script, all that bullshit. They stick to that shit. And because they dabble in clownery, they have a tendency to enable clowns. And then there's been a lot of fucking clowns that have sat in these seats of prominent media outlets, and who now have been obviously convicted of their clownery. So I found this clip actually on the Daily Wire. And again, I do not like it when I occasionally fall into a tacit bit of agreement with those goofy ass motherfuckers over on the right. But I too took a chuckle at Michael Avenatti going down for stealing, but not just regular. No. He didn't walk into the CVS and try to steal a case of baby formula. No, then they would have called the police on him. No, then they would have sent the SWAT team. Nordstrom's and try to, what do the kids fucking wear? What's the cool shit they wear, Will? What you we wearing, Will? Give me a brand name that the kids wear. Because I'm going to say something stupid like Fat Farm, and I'm going to be...
Fat Farm is coming back. Supreme or something like that.
Cool. All right, yeah. Michael Avenatti didn't walk into the Nordstroms at Newport Beach and steal all the Supreme with his friends. No, Michael Avenatti did white people stealing. He did big stealing, and I love to see them go down for stealing, because they are the ones that actually do be doing the stealing, the big stealing. So look at how clown like CNN, The View, all these goofy mainstream news outlets just slobbering over Michael Avenatti in years past. Let's take a look at that mashup.
He's Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much.
He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Michael Avenatti's a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And
he's a beast.
He's a beast.
I hand it to her, and I hand it to Michael Avenatti.
But he has a bigger calling here. That being a lawyer is minimal compared to what he's doing.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti. And Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name.
That's fascinating.
Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Avenatti.
He gives Trump a run for his money more than anybody else, Michael Avenatti.
An existential threat to the Trump presidency.
The Democrats could learn something from you. You are messing with Trump a lot more than they are.
He has no doubt created sheer panic in Donald Trump's very fragile mind.
Michael Avenatti is laying down the law as guest co-host. And is he really thinking about running for president?
One reason why I'm taking you seriously as a contender is because of your presence on cable news.
You look at the field of Democrats right now, and Avenatti's the one who stands out.
If they decide they value a fighter most, people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
I have always said that they need a fighter.
Look, I mean, we're going to continue to use the media. I think we've used it with great success.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my
All of my
gosh.
sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Well, 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 well. Pop up that tweet for me, Will, from 50 Shades Away. Just reminding us again the absurdity and the silliness of cable news, of mainstream news, of the news media industry in America, period. It is a clown show. It is a clown show run by partisan hacks, grifters, scammers, and they love to be scammed. Oh my God, love to be scammed. But let me tell you though, what was going through my head? Thank you so much for that, Will. Is that the tweet? Yeah, what's that say? Could Avenatti run for president? President Avenatti. Circus CNN. That's CNN goofy shit. You understand why I do not respect CNN. CNN is not a credible news outlet to me. And to be perfectly honest, people that appear on that news outlet, I am dubious about their credibility. Because as someone that has watched CNN or used to watch CNN for a very long time, I've seen CNN get shit very wrong. I've seen them not retract things. I've seen them publish and broadcast deliberate misinformation about a number of different issues. And I've seen them enable fucking clowns like Michael Avenatti, like fucking Rick Santorum, like a bunch of bitches, Chris Cuomo. I mean, the track record is god awful. And CNN is the bottom of the barrel. I mean, just bad. Like, if you think Fox is bad, you have got to put CNN right there next to Fox or slightly above Fox. But they're all out there scraping the end of the burnt ends. Not even the burnt ends in a good way. Shout out to Kansas City. But anyway, so there's that. But when I was watching that clip, that mashup of all these prominent press people and all these shows just slobbering over renowned scammer Michael Avenatti, by the way, federally convicted to 14 years, in addition to the 5 that he's already been convicted of. Renowned scammer Michael Avenatti being slobbered upon. What came to mind immediately was the situation going on with Tiffany Cross. And I can't say that I've paid a whole lot of attention to it. In case you don't know, Tiffany Cross is a Black woman political commentator who has a show on MSNBC, or at least she did. Until recent. Is the show gone or it's on the way out? Anyway, but it seemed to be some higgy haga with her departure, because it did not appear as though Tiffany Cross was being asked to leave or not being invited back or not have her contract renewed with MSNBC because of bad performance. In fact, from what I read, her show on the weekends was very highly rated. Again, I don't watch because MSNBC, but I digress. But apparently, I think I saw some tweets from Melissa Harris Perry, another former MSNBC host who I think, where does Melissa Harris Perry do now? She's hosted on WBUR, the NPR affiliate in Boston. So she's doing, something else, which is cool. And she talked about, what did she say in her tweet? I apologize because I have to rely on the memory. And we know the memory is addled with many, many sticky ounces of resin from all the marijuana I have consumed over the decades. So sometimes my synapses, my thoughts get trapped up in the resin, and it takes a little while for them to free themselves and make it on through to the next phase of the brain path. So give me a moment. But Melissa Harris Perry was basically saying, the word or the smears that are out surrounding Tiffany Cross have to do with her allegedly being difficult, her allegedly saying things on air that made her white male bosses uncomfortable, right? And Melissa Harris Perry's argument was, well, she might be difficult. She might have said things that made her bosses uncomfortable. But is she a fucking rapist? Is she an abuser? Is she scamming her clients out of tens of millions of dollars? It's just amazing to me the shit that other people can get away with and keep their jobs or do, have these very openly strange or unprofessional behaviors in work or at work or around work or whatever, and all the bosses know about it. But don't let a black woman be difficult. And again, I relish that word difficult because, again, I have been described as difficult. You guys, this might shock you. You guys might be surprised by this. I, too, have been described as difficult, but I don't think I'm difficult at all, nigga. I show up. What do you want me to do? I will do the thing. I will do the thing. Please don't bother me while I'm doing the thing. Thank you. Please. Again, but usually black women that are labeled as difficult, you know what they never fucking say about these black women? They never say that them bitches was lazy. I never hear lazy. I never hear in conjunction with the difficult categorization do I ever hear I couldn't get these hoes to work. Not once. It's always they were difficult. They were difficult. Well, you're not telling me they weren't doing their job. You're not even saying with smearing them with that difficult moniker. You're not even telling me that they weren't doing their job well. You're just telling me they were difficult. Okay. Well, what the fuck does that tell me? That tells me that there was probably some bullshit that they were encountering and or experiencing, and they chose not to be quiet about it. And they chose maybe to say something about it, which will get you labeled as difficult if you are black and female or black and non-binary in the workplace. And I'm sure for my fellas as well too, but I ain't walked them shoes, y'all. I ain't walked in them Jordans, fellas. You know what I'm saying? I've walked in my shoes. I've walked in these Sam Edelmans. I've walked in these Nine Wests. You feel me? And I know that. I know that for a fact. I've known it. I know it as well as I know my name. So it was just interesting that Michael Avenatti, darling of the mainstream media, invited everywhere, scamming, stealing, convicted felon, incarcerated now for his alleged crimes. And Tiffany Cross, again, somebody who I likely politically do not agree with, because if I memory serves, she's rah rah sis boom ba Joe and Kamala Black Girl Magic. I don't want to hear that shit either. I definitely do not want to hear that shit. But I can relate with sis in the way that she was treated. And I'm sure she was good at her job, and I'm sure she was fired for some bullshit. And unfortunately, I think I did read somewhere that perhaps the lawyers are being called, et cetera, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, these media companies do not need cause to fire you, right? I mean, I don't know if New York is an at-will work state. I doubt it. But if they don't want to renew your contract, they don't have to. And I don't agree with it, but it is a very standard part of the business. And I'm not sure if she has any legal recourse. But fuck, if she can get some money out of NBC Universal, girl, squeeze them, squoze them, rinse their pockets, rinse them pockets. I support the rinsing of the pockets. Anyway. Pardon me. I just had to let y'all know that the whites was wildin', but I'm sure you guys already knew that. You guys already knew that on some level. So anyway, do me a favor, everybody. Come on in here. Give the video a like, a subscribe, or whatever the fuck. What happens here? You like the video, you subscribe to the channel. Now, I thought that maybe we could get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, barring something amazingly unforeseen. It does not appear that we would get there. So if we could get to 3,500 by the end of the year, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Let's work for that. Let's go and do that. Infinite Content, what's going on, bruv? Thank you so much for being in here. Thank you. Big Teal, come through, Big Teal. Tressa, get in here, Tressa. Hey, did you see Dr. Jared Ball is a freedom scholar? I can't wait to hear all the details. He made the announcement today on I Mix What I Like. So go on over to Black Power Media and let Jared fill you in on the details. But look at the BPM comrades coming up in the world. You love to see it. Hey, Alicia. Hey, baby girl. Hey, Anna Hart. Hey, what's going on, Stren? Good shit. Oh, and thank you, Latif, for leading the way with that generous cash app. Thank you, guys. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so. Shout out to my girl Coco. Coco signed up to become a patron. Thank you so much, Coco, for your patronage, support. And if you want to support the channel on a regular basis or whatever one-time basis, do whatever. Hey, listen, y'all, I do not care. I mean, I care, but I don't care. Yeah, I care, but I don't care. So thank you to Coco for signing up to become a patron. And if you want to do that, you can sign up at patreon.com/BIDWKB. If you do the annual memberships, and I try to always sell people on the low tier because I know times is hard. And you know, we in the wayward economy, and the holiday season is here. It's crazy. But anyway, if you sign up at the $2 level, I think it's $20.40 for the year. And if you sign up at the $5 level, I don't know, it's $50 and some change, something like that. So anyway, if you want to make a one-time Patreon contribution, you can do that, or you can sign up $2, $5, $7, $10, $20 a month, whatever floats your boat. Or you can hit us with the one-time jump like Latif did, but he's hit up that one-time joint several times because Latif is a big supporter of this platform, and we love the shit out of Latif. $ BIDWKB on Cash App, Venmo at BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB. Is that it? That's enough. Or super chats. We'll take it. Thank you all so much for showing up. Peace, Silberg. What's going on? Yeah, Coco is dope. Coco. Cocaina. I'm sorry. Don't pay me no attention. I think it's a full moon, guys. And I appreciate the full moon being in Gemini yesterday, because sometimes when the full moon is in some of them, I don't know. I appreciate the air sign. Let me just put it that way, because I needed some airiness in my world. But let's move along to the next part of the program here. And this again, talking about my industry, or I don't know, am I still in the industry? I don't think so. I don't think so. But the missing suffer racial bias in the media, and so do homicide victims also suffer racial bias. And it's just another reflection to me, the sort of racial exclusion and indifference and ignoring about Black people's particular plights, and especially contrasted with the ways in which white women specifically receive coverage when they go missing. So the Shanquella Robinson story is a perfect example of that, because but for, as articulated by Shanquella's mother, but for Black Twitter making her story go viral and talking about it, there's no reason that the mainstream media would have picked up on it. Of course, Shanquella Robinson, the 25-year-old Black woman who was murdered while on vacation with friends in Mexico. And there's some ongoing stuff surrounding her case. But it wouldn't have been a story if it had been Black people talking about it. The white media, that's not their beat. Missing Black people. Well, Black people go missing all the time. Well, everybody goes fucking missing all the time. And your race, gender, age, location in the country, all of these things make a difference as to how much or how little press coverage you get should you pop up missing. And the Columbia School of Journalism will pop up that NPR piece, because this is what it talks about. So a new website, hold on, let me scroll back up. A new website unveiled racial bias. Racial bias affects media coverage of missing people. A new toolkit illustrates how. And this piece goes on to talk about the website launched called areyoupressworthy.com. And I was trying to do this to see how pressworthy I was, but I got stuck at the location part. Yeah, Laurel, Maryland. I was trying to give them. It says people in an urban area have a higher chance of being reported than people in rural areas. And okay, yeah. And it goes on to talk about how basically younger heterosexual cisgender white women are the most press-worthy. Should they go missing, their stories receive the most attention. And at the opposite end of that scale are Black women, indigenous women, Black trans people, and gay people, right? Non-white gay folks, more specifically. And this doesn't surprise me. And it actually kind of annoys me in a way, because what it tells me is that the industry, the media industry, the news gathering industry, the broadcast industry is well aware of its so-called blind spots. And I can't even call them unconscious biases anymore, because they appear to be very fucking conscious, right? Like, oh, we understand. Yeah, every time. Oh, we understand when a Black girl goes missing, we need to pay more attention. But wait a minute, this white girl, did you see how long and blonde her hair was though? Hold on. We have to send 2 crews out to cover this. Wait a second. And I'm very tired of the ways in which the media will do these very soft self collections, right? Like they will collect themselves in very small ways. They'll do these tiny acknowledgments. And let me be clear, the Columbia Journalism Review is definitely not mainstream media, okay? Like they are not the mainstream. They are a very niche publication that focuses on media and journalism. This is not CNN.com. This is not even NPR.org. And it's interesting. I think it's really cute that NPR decided to pick up on this. I would love to take a glimpse inside of that NPR newsroom, kids. Because I know they got the Negro beat. They got a couple Negroes on the beat, but Butterama. What's the rest of that newsroom looking like? And usually towards the end of the year, we get not this specific report, not this toolkit about how are you pressworthy. By the way, you should go check it out, areyoupressworthy.com, and assess your own pressworthiness. But towards the end of the year, we will start to get reports about the status of diversity in American newsrooms. And maybe for the past 15 years, I have been paying close attention to these reports when they come out. And guess what, guys? Guess what? They don't fucking change. They do not change. The statistics, by and large, of American newsrooms, television, radio, cable, etc., the demographics widely do not change. They will increase the amount of women, and usually, again, they will be white women, but the amount of working Black journalists usually does not change. The percentage of Black people in management positions within media spaces, these numbers don't change. So that tells me that the industry is well aware of their diversity and inclusion shortcomings, and they don't give a fuck. They're very happy with the status quo, and they be damned. They be damned if they start turning over their newsrooms to a bunch of difficult, highly competent, and very efficient Black women. They will not do it. They do not want their shit to run efficiently, and they don't want to be covering groundbreaking stories. They want Black women who are not difficult. But the white men's, the Chris Christies, the Matt Lauers, the Charlie Roses, oh, well, they can just run amok. They can be problems for long time, because that's just who Matt, Chris, and Charlie are. We cannot have these fucking loudmouth ass bitches like Kim Brown in our newsroom. What the fuck? Hey, be sure to tell maintenance that Matt Lauer wants that lock on his office door. He needs that tightened up, because the last one was able to open the door way too easily. So get maintenance on that for Matt Lauer. But please keep these mouthy Black bitches out my newsroom. Please and thank you. I fucking hate it here. And that's why I won't ever stop making myself completely unemployable in the media industry, because guess what? They're counting on our silence. And you know what? I will not be silent at the hope of being included. I don't give a fuck about being included, because look what you're getting included in. Clownery. Michael Avenatti, clownery. Fucking Rick Santorum, clownery. Chris Cuomo, clownery. Don Lemon, clownery. Come on now. Make it make fucking sense. Who just became a member? Raylan. Thank you, baby. Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gifted 5 Burn It Down with Kim Brown memberships. How do you do that? Relan. Relana. How you do that? I didn't even know you could give people memberships. But thank you so much for doing that. That is super cool of you. Thank you. Super cool. Super cool. And hold on. My sis, Anna Hart ran us some bucks. Thank you so much, Anna. Oh, and thank you to Mama Lorraine. Mama Lorraine, I think, ran us some bucks the last show, and I did not get a chance to thank her. Hey, where did the fucking super chat go? Oh, here we go. Anna says, thank you so much, everyone, for the birthday love. When was it your birthday, Anna? I love you, twin. Oh my goodness. Yes, Around the Fire support chat are coming up this weekend. Okay, thank you for that, Anna. The caregivers is happening on Sunday, and the main group is happening on Monday. That is correct. Are we at the second Monday? I guess we are. Jesus, what day is it? Like today? Today is the 6th. No. Holy shit. Okay. Thank you, Anna. Anna, happy birthday, Sag. Sagittarius. It's Sagittarius. Sag. She's a yes. Happy birthday, Anna. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for your super chat support. And I will be looking out for those links to the caregiver chat and to the main chat. And we'll post them on Patreon and on our members page. But again, you don't have to be a member in order or a patron to participate in our Around the Fire disability support chats. You just gotta be cool. you just gotta be cool and holler at the good sis Anna or become a member or patron, whatever. But holler at Anna if you want to participate. She will make sure that you get the info for that. It's not open to everybody, but it is open to everybody. So just a heads up. Thank you so much for those wonderful reminders, Anna, and happy birthday to Anna Hart. Happy belated birthday. Happy belated birthday. So okay, so yes, that's where I was at. The are you press worthy? I don't think I'm press worthy. I'm a little too old. A little too old. Though I am curious though. So I know Big Teal could probably weigh in interestingly on this. I even within the race category, obviously white women get higher media priority when they go missing. I'm wondering amongst non-white people what role colorism plays, and I know that's probably a redundant question. And that's probably I probably already know the answer to that question. The role the colorism plays even within reporting about non-white people going missing. Do lighter skinned Black folks, Latino folks, indigenous folks, do lighter skinned people get more press coverage, more press representation, more press saturation than those of who are darker skinned? I already know the answer, but I'd be curious if they looked at that, but I'm sure that they didn't. So, in conjunction with this, Courtney, thank you, Court. Courtney just cashed apped us. Courtney, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, but thank you, Courtney, for specifying. She put it for the abortion support, and we are supporting the Baltimore Abortion Fund. I'll get to that in just a bit. Thank you, Courtney, for that. Big up. So the issue of murdered and missing Indigenous women continues to be an ongoing one. It doesn't go away because Indigenous women specifically are targets. They are targets for people outside of their reservation or outside of the tribal community. And tragically, sometimes they are targets from those that are actually inside the tribal community. But what usually happens is when a Indigenous woman goes missing, her missing person story gets no coverage. Unless it's like native centered media, which are usually very small and you have to like find them. They're very niche. That's about where the only place that I can think of where you will guaranteed to find any update about a missing Indigenous woman. And this story came out of Canada last week. If you could pop up that CBC story for me, Will, because in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the west of the country, an alleged serial killer has been arrested for the murders of at least 4 Indigenous women. And this was on Thursday that Winnipeg police arrested 35-year-old I think his name is Jeremy Sablicki, and a person who has his online media presence. Jeremy Sablicki, 35, was charged on Thursday with 3 more counts of first-degree murder after he was initially charged in the killing of 24-year-old a First Nation woman. That was loud. I'm sorry, that was the train. So investigators now believe that Sklibicki is responsible for the death of a total of 4 women, 3 of whom have been identified. The 4th remains unnamed, but because these are all indigenous women, some of them from different tribes around Manitoba, Lake Manitoba, and specifically, let's see, 2 of these women are members of the Long Plain First Nation in South Central Manitoba, but they were living in Winnipeg. And the other woman, Morgan, came from a separate First Nation. I'm sorry, I was trying to find it in this. Here it is. The Ochee-Chakosipi First Nation, also known as Crane River First Nation, located on the western shore of Lake Manitoba. And this is not the first serial killer that has targeted indigenous women, specifically in Winnipeg. I believe this is the second known serial killer that has been caught, at least. And of course, First Nations people in Canada are furious because this continues to happen. This continues to happen. And I'm wondering what the role of the media are when reporting upon these missing women. Do they give, are these airwaves saturated as they will with Gabby Petito, right? Or pick another one, you know what I'm saying? Another very pretty younger white girl. Like, do these Native women get that same coverage? And we know that answer is no. I want us to take a look at a clip from APTN News. And we're going to hear from some Canadian lawmakers. One representative from, I believe, the Winnipeg area, or representing one of the areas of Manitoba that has a significant First Nations population. And you guys are just going to hear the fury coming from the indigenous people, but also that very annoying white Canadian, like it's very specific to white Canadian. Like, oh yeah, we know it's bad. Yeah, we're so sorry. Yeah, we're gonna do better about it next time. Yeah. Ugh. Like, why do white Canadians think that they are any less annoying or less racist than racist Americans? They are not. They just don't sound as goofy, but I digress. Well, the accent makes them sound goofy, but I digress. Let me be quiet. Let's take a look at this clip. APTN News, and the topic is Buffalo Woman, a 4th unidentified victim of Winnipeg serial killer. And the reason why they're calling her Buffalo Woman is because the tribal elders don't like just to hear unidentified woman, so they are now calling her Buffalo Woman. So let's take a look.
NDP MLA Bernadette Smith was at the vigil speaking to APTN today. Smith says Indigenous women are sacred and resources need to be put in place to stop the genocide. But she admits until systemic racism is addressed, it'll be an uphill battle.
They're in our institutions at the highest level, and they're being condoned and, given permission, and it's giving permission to society to just say, go ahead, abuse, Indigenous people and abuse Indigenous women. You'll get away with it and nothing will happen to you.
In a rare show of unity this afternoon, all members of Parliament stood for a moment of silence in memory of the 4 Indigenous victims, identified as Mercedes Myron, Morgan Harris, Rebecca Contois, and the 4th, now being referred to as Buffalo Woman, believed to be in her 20s. Winnipeg Centre MP Leah Gazan demanded that Winnipeg's Brady landfill be searched for victims.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Another 3 Indigenous women were murdered by an alleged serial killer in Winnipeg, and police aren't going to look for their remains, which they believe are in the Brady landfill. Imagine hearing that about your relative, Mr. Speaker. And while the government stalls in providing resources, Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit continue to be murdered because we are a target, Mr. Speaker. Will the government provide immediate funding to stop this genocide and the resources to search for the remains of our precious sisters?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and our hearts go out to the families of the victims. It isn't on a day like this that we can sit here and pat ourselves on the back about what we've been doing as a government. Obviously, it has not been enough. It is very puzzling to hear the news that this landfill will not be searched. I spoke to the mayor of Winnipeg yesterday about this and hope to get some clear answers shortly. Clearly, the federal government needs to play a role in an area where jurisdiction is a poisonous word and continues to kill Indigenous women and children in this country.
Honourable member for Churchill-Kiwatanuk-Aski.
Mr. Speaker, Indigenous women targeted and murdered again by a serial killer. This is a nightmare, a killer with a chilling connection to neo-Nazism. This is happening here at home in Manitoba, and more women have gone missing since. There must be a comprehensive federal response now, emergency shelters, economic supports, and real action on the dangerous rise of white supremacy. The families of Mercedes Marin, Morgan Harris, Rebecca Contois, and the fourth loved one deserve justice. Indigenous women and Indigenous communities deserve urgent action now from the federal government. When will the Liberals finally act?
The Honourable Minister for Crown and Indigenous Relations.
Mr. Speaker, extremism of the nature described by the member opposite is one of the biggest terrorist threats in this country, and it continues to prey on those that are most vulnerable, including Indigenous women, children and girls and LGBTQ folks across the country. We need a comprehensive federal response. We need a comprehensive provincial response. We need a comprehensive municipal response. It's why, in part, I've called for a federal, provincial, territorial, and Indigenous meeting in January to discuss the painful issue of MIWG and why we continue to fail as governments in making sure that everyone in this country is indeed safe. Thank you.
Here.
I like that he said MMIW, right? Because point me to his white counterpart in the American Congress, white counterpart specifically, that can talk about missing and murdered Indigenous women. And again, I know they don't deserve any brownie points for getting the terms right, and speaking the done language and getting the phraseology, but it is an acknowledgement, I suppose, of some level of learning and acknowledgement. But I was glad that the one sister pointed out, all this continues to happen under Liberal government. Justin Trudeau is the prime minister, and not to say that the prime minister has anything to do with serial killers, but the level of protections that I think federally could be extended to First Nations people. And if law enforcement is serious about collecting serial killers, then they need to be a little bit more diligent about really scrutinizing people's online profiles and some of the things that they post. So this person in Winnipeg, who is in custody now, charged with these 4 homicides, had a big social media presence, big white supremacist postings, big neo-Nazi postings, etc. And, I would imagine in Canada, even though they do have universal health care, so maybe they don't spend as much on police as we do here in the US, Canada at least has a tacit recognition of, responsibilities to provide basic human rights to their citizens outside of any sort of state law enforcement apparatus. But regardless, I'm sure they spend enough money on police where they can go, just to go have conversations with people, go knock on their fucking doors. But again, the issue of white supremacy from a law enforcement perspective is not a serious threat, at least not to them, at least not to the state. It's a threat to these Indigenous women. It's a threat to these Two-Spirit First Nations folks, right? So long as they are the ones continuing to be targeted, then the Trudeau-led government is quite content with the status quo and they'll hang their heads when a story like this comes out, and they'll promise to do better. But do they do better? First Nations people in the west of Canada have been knucking and bucking and ready to fight, and they have been fighting for a while. But specifically under the Trudeau administration, I can think of when the RCMP went into a First Nations territory, and I apologize for not being able to call off the First Nations name because I do not want to mispronounce it. But they are still in this territorial struggle over people's land, right? Land back is absolutely a thing in Canada. And the First Nations people there are strident about that, but they are also very strident about this issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women. And I'm wondering, had there been greater press coverage of these first women when they first went missing? And let's be clear, this alleged serial killer, the first woman's body, I believe, was discovered in March. And then they found 2 additional bodies in May. Okay, I've watched enough crime TV to know that if somebody is killing 3 and 4 people over the course of 3 and 4 months, that's a lot of goddamn killing. Okay. And I wonder, and I'm not clear as to how much, again, coverage these missing Indigenous women received when they went missing, or the ways in which the media hopefully were prodding the police to put these things together, to connect these cases to a single perpetrator, which eventually did happen. But here we are all the way in fucking December. And who knows, even though he did get arrested, Thursday, but he got charged with these additional 3 bodies last Thursday, but they did arrest him months ago. But I'm sure he's not the only one. So there is that. But I want to point, girl, I cannot build land back better. Say that, David Soberg. You say that. But I want to point to a story in the media that is kind of the opposite of indifference about Black girls, brown girls going missing or potentially going missing. There was a story floating around social media that was picking up some traction, and I went and looked for it and I found it. And this happened in North Carolina. Girl, Courtney, what is going on? This is around your neck of the woods too, sis. It's around Raleigh. And this happened, this was first reported, I think, back in November. And I want you guys to hear this story. And I want to applaud ABC 11. Now, I don't know if ABC 11 is good or not good. I don't know if they usually ain't shit and this is an anomaly for them, or are they really usually on the up and up? And this is par for the course of the level of reporting and the kind of community reporting that they do. I'm not sure. I'm always very reluctant and little stingy with my praise of local media outlets. But okay, ABC 11 in Raleigh, this is what you do. So check this out. And this is about a Black teenage girl. I wonder if my mama, are you watching? This girl looks like one of my family members. I think that's part of another reason why when I saw this clip, I said, is that my family member? This child looks like one of my family members. And I think that's another reason why it really got my attention. But I can understand the story generally. So you're going to hear about this young girl who caught an Uber after leaving work, and her Uber driver started to act very strange. And then this teenager decided to take matters into her own hands. And we'll pick up with the local news package out of Raleigh. Here's ABC 11.
A teenager on the side of the road. A 17-year-old girl tells us she jumped out of that moving car because of her driver's suspicious behavior. Good evening, live from downtown Raleigh. I'm Lauren Johnson.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Daniels. This evening, 17-year-old Azia Bowden is recovering from injuries after she jumped out of that Lyft car. It happened on Fox Road in Raleigh near 540 and Lewisburg Road. And that's where Cindy Bay is live tonight with the details. This is really incredible what happened, Cindy.
Yes, Steve and Lauren, and we just learned from Raleigh police that there were no charges in this incident, but that's not enough for Azia Bowden. Earlier, she told me how she'd hoped there'd be more consequences after this terrifying experience.
Oh, how many boys flirted with you? He said that right away.
It wasn't long until Azia Bowden felt uncomfortable in a Lyft ride home. After 2 minutes of her driver's behavior,
oh, you just look good. I would date you if you weren't so young.
Bowden says the driver then sprayed something that she says made her dizzy and warm.
When I got in his car, it did smell like cigarettes. So when he sprayed one time, it was already like, oh, it no longer smelled like that. But for you to keep spraying it, then roll your windows up, like, I know it's not about me being nervous or anything.
The terrifying experience ultimately causing her to jump out of the moving car.
I was very scared, but then again, I was more so like, I'd rather get out this car than, you know, fall asleep in a car with this man, and I don't really know.
Bowden fell in the area of 7300 Fox Road, a few miles away from her house.
I just looked down at the ground, I looked behind me, and I just jumped out. And he didn't stop when he noticed the door was open or he heard me crying or anything.
The scars on Bowden's face and body reminding her of the close call, and Lyft removing the driver.
I don't think that's stopping him from anything else. Like, it doesn't really bring peace to me at all. As us young girls or even women, like, we have to be very aware and safe of like our surroundings. Cancel your ride and wait, you know, wait for somebody. Because honestly, I would have waited for my friend if, you know, anything else. But I don't see myself ever riding in another Uber or Lyft. I'm okay with that.
And Bowden says she still plans to work, but might get a car or depend on family or friends to get there and back. Reporting in Raleigh, Cindy Bay.
Come through, Cindy Bay, with the story. And a lot of reporters, I'm not sure how much of a story other reporters would have taken that as seriously as Cindy did. And I'm appreciative that that journalist decided to get that young woman's account. And I'm actually even curious as to how Cindy Bay was able to be made aware of this 17-year-old's experience with this creepy fucking Lyft driver, because as you heard, no charge is filed. Ain't no charge for almost rapey. You know what I'm saying? Even though there is a fucking charge for attempted rape, and there should be some sort of charge for whatever sort of intoxicant that young woman was subjected to. But there's a lot there. But let me focus on my theme here. So first of all, again, thank you to ABC 11. Thank you to reporter Cindy Bay. That's a story. That's a story that more reporters need to cover, even though it does not fall in the category of if it bleeds, it leads, which is what a lot of journalists, swear up and down to and adhere by, etc. There wasn't no bleed. Thank you, Jesus, for the love of God. Nothing negative, overly negative, happened to that child, except for the fact I'm sure she is traumatized and it's so turned off by ride sharing services at this point, and who can really blame her? But that to me is a very, very important story, because that young woman could have gone missing. And I don't know what the level of coverage would have been had she have gone missing. Thank you so much to Big Cat's Corner for your super chat support. Thank you. It says, love the beautiful Kim Brown on a Tuesday night. Keep burning it down, KB. Thank you so much. Ride shares are scary as fuck. And that's the other part about this I want to talk about. Thank you so much, Big Cat's Corner, for your super chat support, y'all, because I mean, when do girls, femmes, and women, when do we get to not always be on our P's and Q's? Like, this young girl had a long day at work. She was on her way home. And this motherfucker's already chatting her up, making his intentions known. Oh, you cute, but you too young. Ha, ha, ha. Let me spray some shit in the air. Like, and the motherfucker was guilty, because you heard the little sister say that when she jumped out the car, he didn't even stop. He didn't even fucking stop. He didn't stop to close his door. He didn't stop to see why she had jumped out. He didn't stop. He didn't stop. You know why he didn't stop? Because what those was his intentions. His intentions was to do some form of harm to that girl. And I saw one of y'all say it in the chat that she saved her own life. Yes, she did. Yes, she did save her own life. But I hate, and maybe I'm overblowing. I don't think I am. But maybe I'm overblowing the amount of like vigilance that women and femmes have to have about themselves at all times. Because maybe men, guys, our cisgender brothers here would say, well, Will would probably say he got to be on his P's and Q's walking through Charles Village. He got to be on his P's and Q's walking through motherfucking
Damn
North
straight.
Parkway.
Damn straight. I'm always trying to be safe. I don't play about that. I'm like, listen, I want everybody to be safe in this picture, me included.
My G, and I believe that. I believe that. But the ways in which people try, the insidious ways and overt ways in which some people do try to hurt women, like motherfuckers will blatantly attack women on the street, or they'll do some surreptitious shit like this, like spray some shit or put something in somebody's drink or make them unable to give consent or to deny consent, right? Make them completely incapacitated. In order for, why else do you need somebody completely incapacitated? Do you need somebody completely incapacitated to rob them? No. No. You can do strong arm robbery very easily. You do not need anybody completely incapacitated to steal from them unless you are stealing pussy, right? That's why you need somebody completely incapacitated, because you want to steal pussy. And there needs to be serious investigations by local law enforcement into this specific individual, and for anybody who is even, and I know it paints a broad brush, and I know some people always do not have good intentions when they make accusations, but you guys have to understand the overwhelming number of rape accusations are credible. Okay, most times the amount of not credible or false rape accusations are in the single digits in percentage wise, right? So this fear that someone's going to falsely report you for rape or sexual assault, I won't say it's overblown, but the statistics just simply do not bear it out, right? But there has to be some sort of follow-up, because this is serial predatory behavior, right? And for Lyft as a corporation simply to remove the driver, I guess that's all Lyft can do. But Lyft needs to alert the fucking Raleigh police, and Lyft needs to follow up with other riders with this particular driver to see if they had any similar experiences, because I assure you guys, that's not the first time that motherfucker tried that shit. Definitely not the first time. And I would imagine that because it's not the first time, he's likely had some success, which is why he keeps trying it. And this is why we have to get predators the fuck up out the paint, not after the second accusation, not after the third, fourth, fifth, 15th, 20th accusation, after the first, after the fucking first, because it's a pattern. It's a pattern of behavior. People who want to forcibly have sex or sexual contact with non-consenting people, it's a pathology for them. It's something that I won't say they can't help it, because I bet you if they get their ass whipped enough fucking times, they'll learn not to help the shit. But it's something that they understand, because society hates women, knows that most women are unprotected. They will do the shit because they know that they can get away with it. That's it. It's a power thing. They know that that is behavior that they are able to exert over less stronger people, and they will do it. Infinite Content, thank you so much for your super chat support. Infinite Content says, Kim, I know it's a story I've been seeing about the Uber Lyft doing sexual violations I've seen the past couple of weeks. What's going on, man? And again, I think, who was it? It was anyway, it was somebody in the BPM chat today was like, what did they say? I said something about, again, I stand by this shit, by the way. God damn it. Niggas can get mad and disagree all the fuck they want. I stand by what the fuck I say. We have an issue here with the way that our, not specifically black men in America, the way that men are socialized to not express their emotions, which I think is a part of why we have so much gun violence. Obviously, the accessibility to 400 million guns in a country of 330 million people obviously makes gunplay a tool, right? Like, it's definitely on the table. People will utilize that, but not everybody utilizes it. If we don't see gun violence rates play out along gender in the same ways, it's very disproportionate, right? Where the fuck was I going with that? Goddamn. but somebody had said, oh, that it was media propaganda, that it's men shooting up the men and that girls be doing, girls get gun clips or some shit I did. I'm like, what, nigga? But we don't see, again, this is gendered behavior with trying to coerce sex using some sort of chemical means. I'm not saying that women may not give a man a Mickey. I don't even know what a Mickey is. That's some shit in the movies. I don't even know what it is. But I'm sure women and girls, or a woman or a girl, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? That shit might work in reverse sometimes, but not at the same rates, not at the same level. So what I'm basically trying to say is I won't ever say that women don't ever drug men for reasons. Sure, I'm sure somebody has. I'm sure somebody has. But I can assure you there are a lot more men drugging women for sex than the reverse. And I even say the reverse. I don't even know if a woman would drug a man for sex. Maybe she would. Somebody likes to point at, people always like to throw up those Cardi B examples of when Cardi and her girls used to, rob niggas. And I was like, yes, but they are robbing them for their material possessions. They are not raping them. Now their brothers might feel violated, and sure, if you get your shit took, that is a violation. But I assure you, it's different than getting your shit took. You feel me? All right. Where else was I going? Is that all I had to say tonight? So yeah, big up to ABC 11 for covering that story. I'm glad, because again, that's a brown skinned black girl, and a lot of times media and by extension society doesn't really care what happens to darker skinned black women. So I'm glad that Cindy Bay, shout out to Cindy Bay, ABC 11 Raleigh, fuck with her, decided to tell that young woman's story. And I hope it serves as a cautionary tale to us all. And please tell the young people in your lives to please be super aware of their surroundings. Don't just be looking down on your phone while you're in the back seat, guys. We trust far too much, I think, in this society, and America has proven to us that we cannot be super trustworthy, especially when we are in the care, in effect, of strangers. When you're riding with a Lyft or Uber driver, you don't know that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. You don't even know what kind of driver this person is. Like, you just don't know. So you need to be on your P's and Q's, be looking around, up, not down. And please tell your children and young people around you to do the same. Guys, guess what? Tomorrow we got big things popping and little shit stopping on the Remix Morning Show. We're going to be checking in with some of our brothers from across the pond. Yes. Big up to Make It Plain and everybody that is participating. I'm sorry, I'm very bad with coming up with shit off the top of my head. I'm like, what's these people's organization called again? Because I'd be forgetting, because I smoke a lot of weed. And guess what, y'all? I'm comfortable with that. I will take whatever memory ailments come my way, because there's a lot of shit I want to forget any fucking way. so I'll take the erosion memories. But anyway, one of our guests tomorrow is going to be Dr. Kehinde Andrews, and I'm such a big fan of Dr. Andrews. I actually think I have one of his books back there. But if you don't know Dr. Andrews, and I should have pulled a fucking clip, because Dr. Andrews, again, he goes on Good Morning Britain, and he hurts the shit out of Pierce Morgan's feelings. Okay, I love Dr. Andrews for that. He will always come on morning national television in the UK and nicely, with the cutest smile, tell white people that they ain't shit. And the racist whites, of course, to tell the racist whites that they ain't shit. Will tell the UK that it is racist and ain't shit. And he does it all while smiling. And he is going to be joining us tomorrow on the Remix Morning Show, and along with another brother from his organization. That's going to be at 9:00. So please come back over and tune in for that tomorrow morning on BPM. And fuck with me tomorrow on Status Crew News, 5 in the PM. Yeah. So there's that. So thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Lateef. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Infinite. Quaker socialist, anarchist. Thank you, baby girl. Peace, Silberg. Peace, CB. Peace, Anna. Peace, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget, COVID is out here jumping on people. RSV is out here, like I said, climbing up to the top rope and just doing doing the Jimmy Superfly snooker off the top rope onto these children. So kindly wear your mask. Did I see Jordan Sheraton tweet about that the CDC has tacitly said or suggested for people to resume mask wearing? That means Ebola about to start walking around this bitch. If the CDC is like, oh, maybe we should start putting on our masks, that means COVID has resumed walking form, and a form of COVID that we have not yet been made aware of is now in circulation among us. If the CDC is recommending masks again, we are so fucked out here. But guys, COVID is out here jumping on people. Please wear your mask inside, wash your hands, social distance, do all that same, please. And thank you. And on behalf of Will and Molly, we appreciate all y'all support. Again, we'll see you tomorrow morning on the Black Power Morning Show. And we'll see you tomorrow evening on Status Quo. And we'll see you back here on Friday for BIDWKB Friday edition. Peace, everybody. Love y'all. See you later. Bye-bye. See ya.